All right, new day. So we're going to start working up the install of the Heidts front end here. So the lower A-frames have pressed in ball joints. I'm going to have to press those out to get the powder coating done. Hopefully I don't destroy them in the process. But for right now, I'm going to mock everything up. I'm not going to grease anything. I'm probably going to have to grease the inner wheel bearing. Or maybe not. Maybe I just won't put the seal in yet. But anyway, I'm not going to put anything in permanent. I'm just going to mock it up, get it so that I can set it on the floor and roll it around a little bit once the rear end's in it. So I'll get started on this, start working through the instructions, and we'll see how it goes. All right, here's step one. The directions for this suck. So there is a little spacer that goes inside each one of these Heim joints. It slides in, it's like a collar and a spacer. It says washers, but it has these funky little Belleville washers. There's 4 of them, so I'm having to assume those go up here. Directions aren't that clear. Down below, they gave you 6 of this washer, the regular 5/8 washer. So I'm assuming that it goes on every side where there's a plate. Where this has a standoff, it doesn't really seem to matter. So I'm assuming that's where the missing one is, or the odd one out is. Ball joints, typical bolt-in ball joint for the top, which is nice, makes them easy to replace. I did put a little bit of copper never sees inside these tubes. So there's a collar that goes in the tube that's threaded in left hand, and then the arms are right hand. So you can adjust by breaking loose the 2 lock nuts and turning this. So makes it pretty nice, pretty easy adjustment. I like that. So next I'm going to move on to the spindle and kind of keep moving through this. Like I said, the instructions are vague at best. So this picture here is the most informative part of the whole thing. But, of course, doesn't show bolts or washers. Fuckers. Anyway, that's it. I'm telling you. I do have to pull together a caster camber gauge. We have one at the race shop, or had one at the race shop. My dad still has it, but that's quite a ways away from here. So anyway, okay, so I'm going to continue on with the spindles and let you know where it's at. All right, so spindles are on. These are 2-inch drop spindles. They have stamped right in them Heidts, so these are a Heidts product. They are ambidextrous. It's the same spindle left or right. The instructions were slightly less vague on the spindles. On the the vagueness continues. On the rack, which is a Detroit Speed rack, you had to replace the bushings in through here and the rubber mounts. They give you a nice toothed face bushing that really seems to be pretty much better. So that's on. I don't have it lined up or anything obviously yet. I will get it close when I get a little further along. But yeah, so I'm going to break out the Willward kit now, get the rotors on it, and see what that looks like. We'll bring you back if I get anything interesting. Still a number of parts in here. I have no idea where they go. I'm assuming these might be a shock adapter to a different style shock to the Heim joint version rather than the plate version, but I don't know that. There's just so much stuff with this kit that isn't really used. Lots of spare parts. So anyway, I will keep digging and keep trying to put this together. Now this is a kit. Oh my goodness. This is the 11-inch brake rotor kit from Willwood. It's got real instructions, all kinds of fancy stuff. Looks like we got even some wheel spacers. Jeez, it's got everything. It's got it all. Rotors, calipers. Yeah. So I'm going to start putting this together. Again, shouldn't be any big mystery, but I'll start tweaking it out and see where it goes. There's the setup. Everything came together pretty good. The instructions on this were quite clear. The only thing weird is you have to put a couple little shims in here between the caliper and the bracket just to get it centered up perfect. That's going to be a pain moving forward, I can tell. Every time you take that apart, it's going to fall out. But anyway, it is good. I did find out that I need to, the hose I have is a 14-inch and the hose kit, and I need a 16-inch. So 16-inch looks like it's a better fit for this. I'll be able to use the 14 on the rear calipers. I had needed to order another one anyway, so I was holding off till I knew what I was into up here. In the back, I can use anything I want. So all in all, it's pretty good. I've got to get it set up with a shock simulator, just a threaded rod, so I can adjust the heights and use that to set caster and camber, do all of that while it's up here and accessible. But yeah, other than that all came together pretty decent. Like I said, the instructions for the assembly instructions for the Heidts front end kit was severely lacking, to say the least. But you just got to kind of plow your way through it and figure it out. Haven't put the sway bar on yet. I will. And what else do I have left to do up here? Yeah, I'll get those shock simulators in place, then I'll put the sway bar on. I got to assemble the shocks, but I've got thrust bearings coming for those. Should be here this week. So yeah, things came together pretty good up here in the front end. It's not, there was nothing terribly exciting here, but this Willwood setup, the 11-inch brake setup, is pretty nice, I gotta say. And I love the fact that they got a nice machined bearing cap. Everything looked pretty damn good. So, and the rack went in nicely. Seems to have plenty of room. So the next steps, once I get the front end set up for caster and camber, then it's going to be moving on to the rear end. The housing will be here this week. I can start getting that set up, run that through its paces, test the up and down motion, just like I have to do up here. Set the caster camber, none of that's done. So, onward and upward, but we got plenty to do now. I'm not waiting on anything, so, just keep moving forward and a lot of reading. But overall, very pleased. This Heidts front end kit is nice. It's just their documentation could use a shot in the arm, no doubt about that. But yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I will document these A-arms, get those into the model properly. Once I pull it back apart before I send them to powder coat, I will model those up. And the spindle, I did pack the bearings and do everything in the wheel housing here. The wheel hub. I'm gonna take the spindle off, obviously, and send that out for powder coat with everything else. But I just figured let's not take any chances. We'll get that packed right up pretty good. So I've also got a next thing I've got to do is put the engine stands on here to mate with the motor mounts. Those are all down in my office. So anyway, I will continue on and I'll show you what we got. But that's about it for at least for the front independent suspension. So